It should be noted that Democratic and progressive activists refer to CCV as an anti-choice, anti-LGBTQ, anti-union extremist group. The Ohio Christian Alliance said it was concerned about what it says Stevens guaranteed Russo and minority Democrats, and that it's naive to think there wasn't a deal, though Russo has said there was no grand deal, but only what she called discussions and areas of agreement. I talked with Chris Long, the president of the Ohio Christian Alliance, about the things he's concerned won't move forward under Speaker Stevens. Here's part of our conversation.
Obviously, school choice, additional pro-life legislation, the 60% threshold, which many Ohioans believe it's time to lock down our Constitution, not allow it to be open for bid of anyone with a money interest coming into our state and with a simple majority being able to amend the Constitution. And that's saying something from our organization. We've been involved with a lot of ballot initiatives over the years and constitutional amendments. And when we are able to convince enough of our fellow citizens, they do pass them by a large majority. In fact, the marriage amendment in 2004 passed by nearly 62%. So a 60% threshold is not beyond the pale of what we should be requiring here in Ohio, following the federal template of what we do in a process to change or amend our Constitution. So Mr. Stevens not for that. He's made that clear. Whether he'll allow that vote to come to the floor in the next month remains to be unseen. I think that's going to be the first test of what we see as far as his agenda going forward.
Yeah, indeed. It has to pass the Ohio House and Senate by February 1st to get onto the May ballot for voters to approve. I noticed that you've called him Mr. Stevens several times and not Speaker Stevens. Do you think Speaker Stevens, Jason Stevens, should resign as Speaker, or do you think that the people who backed Merrin should just get on with the business of the House?
Right now, we do see it as an illegitimate speakership. It violated the laws and principles of what the House had long held. You would not see this on the Democratic side. They always hang together. And yet when we see this kind of division on the Republican side, we say, oh, well, that's just fine. Well, obviously their party didn't think so. And it was very impassioned, by the way. The speech by one of the members who stood up, an African-American member of the Central Committee, he gave an impassioned speech. And that's why the Central Committee voted to rebuke or censure these 22. And in fact, that may carry over back home as well, as many county chairs are considering the same. So the 22, they're really out there hanging in the wind right now. So, and for good reason, because they went against protocol, they went against principle, and basically carrying out their vote. So I think again, this will play out over the next 2 years.
Do you think Stevens should resign as Speaker?
I think that the members of the House will make a determination as to his future, how successful his speakership will be. So that remains to be unseen. Actually, he's been pretty quiet for someone who wanted to be Speaker so bad. Yet he's been quiet. He hasn't really reached out to people, just a few, quite honestly. And so you'd think if he really wants to be Speaker, in fact, when I talked to a lot of people, they said, I've never talked to him, I've never met him before. So he's really an unknown to many people. So that's why it's hard to just say Speaker Stevens, when we really don't know who this man is.
And finally, there are those who might wonder why the Ohio Christian Alliance cares about this and this speaker drama. Why are you involved in discussions over the leader of the Ohio House? And whether that's even a good thing for a Christian organization to be involved in state government in this level.
Well, again, we're a public policy organization. Christians will have their voice in government like any other constituency or interest group. We need to defend our religious liberties and our freedoms of speech. And so that's why we have a seated government. Some people may not like that, but we've been here a while. We've been doing it well, and that we're going to continue.
While Merrin and his supporters are talking and meeting, it's unclear what's happening with the Stevens backers. House session that was scheduled for this week was canceled on January 5th. And so far, there's no announcement of a House session schedule or committee chairs. Again, invitations to be on the show were extended to Speaker Jason Stevens, Minority Leader Russo, and others who supported Stevens for Speaker. All were declined politely but firmly, or we received no response. We hope to talk to them in future shows.